The world thinks the electric car started with a Silicon Valley billionaire and a touchscreen, but the truth is far more mysterious, far more expensive, and honestly, a little heartbreaking. We are talking about machines that were decades ahead of their time, vehicles that were literally snatched back from their owners and fed into industrial shredders to keep a secret. You need to watch this because these aren't just cars, they are the ghosts of an industry that tried to stay buried. From million-dollar hypercars that only 8 people on Earth will ever own, to a rover that is currently parked 238,000 miles away on the lunar surface, these are the rarest electric assets in history. I've spent 15 years hunting for mechanical unicorns, and I can tell you, the stories behind these 10 machines will change everything you think you know about performance. If you value the history of performance as much as I do, hit that subscribe button for Rider Archive. We keep the legends alive. Number 1. The General Motors EV1. In the late 90s, General Motors built something so perfect it terrified them. The EV1 wasn't a golf cart. It was a sleek aerodynamic masterpiece that felt like driving a spaceship. Only about 1,100 were produced. And here is the kicker. You couldn't actually buy one. They were lease only. And when the program ended, GM did something unforgivable. They forcibly repossessed almost every single car, despite owners literally begging to buy them, and hauled them off to the desert to be crushed into scrap metal. Only about 40 survived, and most of those were deactivated and sent to museums. Finding a functional EV1 today is like finding a living dinosaur. It's a mechanical tragedy that proved the world was ready for electric, even if the manufacturers weren't. But while GM was crushing the future, a small Croatian team was building a monster. Number 2. The Rimac Concept 1. Before Rimac became a global powerhouse, they built the Concept 1, a car so rare and so powerful, it redefined the term hypercar. Only 8 units were ever produced, and after one was famously destroyed on a hillside in Switzerland during a filming session for the world's biggest car show, that number dropped even lower. It features 4 independent motors producing over 1,200 horsepower, a feat of engineering that mate Rimac started in his garage. This car is a billionaire's unicorn, a hand-built proof of concept that showed the world electric power could out-accelerate a gasoline-fed Titan. Owning one of these is essentially owning a piece of the foundation of modern supercar history. But if you think 8 units is rare, wait until you hear about the track-only beast from the East. Number 3. The Neo EP9. The Neo EP9 is a ghost of the Nürburgring, a car that shattered track records and then vanished into private collections. Only 16 of these machines were ever built, and the first 6 were sold exclusively to the company's founding investors for a staggering $2.5 million each. It's not road legal, which makes it even more of a mystery. With 4 high-performance motors and a chassis designed to produce more downforce than a Formula One car, it is a pure engineering exercise in speed. It doesn't just drive, it claws at the pavement with the violence of a jet fighter. Seeing an EP9 in person is a once-in-a-lifetime event for most enthusiasts. Yet long before Chinese hypercars existed, there was a humble sedan in the 50s that tried to start the revolution early. Number 4. The Henny Kilowatt. Decades before the modern EV boom, the 1959 Henny Kilowatt arrived as the first transistor-based electric car in history. Based on the body of a Renault Dauphine, it was an American experiment that aimed to prove electric power was viable for the average commuter. However, with a price tag that was nearly double that of a gas-powered car, the market simply wasn't ready. Only 47 units were ever produced before the company pulled the plug, and most of those were sold to utility companies as promotional vehicles. Today, fewer than 15 are believed to still exist, making them some of the most sought-after pieces of early electric history for serious collectors. It was a noble effort that died in silence, but it paved the way for another Japanese pioneer that met a similar tragic fate. Number 5. The Honda EV Plus. Honda's first foray into the electric world was a car called the EV Plus, and much like the EV1, it was a victim of its own success. Produced between 1997 and 1999, only about 300 of these hatchbacks were built to meet California's zero-emission mandates. They were whisper quiet and incredibly reliable, but Honda followed the GM playbook to the letter. Once the leases expired, they took the cars back and destroyed the vast majority of them. Finding an EV Plus today is nearly impossible because they were never meant to survive the decade. It represents a lost chapter of Japanese engineering that most people have completely forgotten. But while Honda was building city cars, a French company was building an electric sports car that looked like it came from the future. Number 6. The Venturi Fetish. The Venturi Fetish claims a title many people mistakenly give to Tesla. It was the first modern electric sports car ever sold. Hand-built in Monaco, it was a carbon fiber masterpiece with a mid-engine layout that offered world-class handling and zero emissions. Venturi originally planned to build only 25 units, and each one was tailored specifically to the buyer's whims. With a price tag of over $500,000 back in 2004, it was an elite plaything for the ultra-wealthy. It proved that an electric car could be sexy, fast, and exclusive, long before the Roadster hit the streets. It is a rare jewel of European design that rarely ever changes hands on the open market. But as rare as a Monaco sports car is, a wartime survivor is even harder to find. Number 7. The Peugeot VLV. During the height of World War II, with gasoline being strictly rationed for the military, Peugeot came up with a desperate and brilliant solution, the VLV. This tiny, three-wheeled electric microcar was designed for city doctors and essential workers who needed to get around without a drop of fuel. Only 377 were built before the occupying forces banned their production entirely. It was a lightweight, cycle car-style vehicle that could only reach 22 miles per hour, but it was a lifeline during a dark time in history. Most were used until they fell apart, and very few survived the post-war era. It remains a symbol of resilience and the incredible adaptability of electric propulsion. But let's move from the streets of Paris to the most extreme environment ever faced by a vehicle. Number 8. The Lunar Roving Vehicle. This is the ultimate rare electric vehicle, because you literally have to leave the planet to see one. Only 4 lunar roving vehicles were ever built by Boeing and General Motors for the Apollo missions, and 3 of them are currently parked on the surface of the moon. Each one cost millions of dollars to develop and was designed to operate in a vacuum with extreme temperature swings that would melt a normal car. They used 4 independent electric motors, 1 in each wheel, a design that modern EVs are only just now perfecting. They are technically the most expensive and most isolated electric cars in the universe. Unless you have a rocket and a death wish, you will never get to sit in the driver's seat of one of these. But back on Earth, Toyota was hiding a secret of its own. Number 9. The Toyota RAV4 EV First Generation. Long before the hybrid craze, Toyota built a fully electric RAV4 that was so good, owners refused to give them up. Between 1997 and 2003, about 1,400 were produced, but only about 300 were ever sold to the public. The rest were leases. When Toyota tried to follow GM's lead and crush them, a massive grassroots movement of owners fought back, eventually forcing Toyota to let them keep their cars. These survivors are now legendary for their reliability, with some still on the road today with their original battery packs. It is a rare example of the people winning against a corporate giant, preserving a piece of history that was marked for death. It's a rugged, practical ghost that still haunts the streets of California. But our final entry is a modern boutique build that is almost impossible to spot. Number 10. The Detroit Electric SP01. The name Detroit Electric dates back to the early 1900s, but in 2015 the brand was revived to create the SP01. Based on a Lotus chassis, this was intended to be the ultimate electric driver's car, but production was plagued by delays and corporate shifts. While they planned to build 999 units, industry experts estimate that only a handful, perhaps fewer than 5, actually made it out of the factory and into the hands of customers. It is a mystery wrapped in a carbon fiber shell, a car that officially exists but is almost never seen in the wild. It represents the brutal difficulty of starting an EV company from scratch, even with a legendary name. It is the rarest of the modern era, a car that most collectors don't even know they should be looking for. Looking back at these 10 machines, it is clear that the electric car isn't just a trend, it's a 100-year struggle for innovation. We've seen cars that were crushed by their own makers, hypercars that cost millions of dollars, and even vehicles that are currently gathering moon dust in the silence of space. These rare assets are the reason we have the high-performance EVs we see on the road today. They were the pioneers, the experiments, and sometimes the victims of an industry that wasn't ready to change. As a dealer who has seen countless machines come and go, I can tell you that the rarity of these cars makes them more than just transport. They are milestones of human ambition. Which of these silent legends would you want in your collection? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Rider Archive for more deep dives into the world's most elusive machines. We'll see you in the next one.